Hello there and welcome back to the channel. Ryan Nordall here. Today we're out here, I call this behind my parents' house. As a family we call it the lower 40. It's a 40-acre parcel that sits off of my brother's farm. You can see the barn and the buildings up over here. So we're going to be in here. We're going to be doing a little more hinge cutting today. We've been doing hinge cutting in here now for probably the last 4 or 5 years. We've taken it really serious to hunt this property for the last 4 or 5 years now too, and it's just getting better and better. We've done significant hinge cutting in here. We're going to be in here again today creating a few more beds, so I want you to follow along and see the process of how I go about doing things as far as hinge cutting goes, creating beds, and what I do to monitor those beds with trail cameras. We haven't killed anything yet, but we are getting some mature bucks in here. We had a couple in here last year. I actually saw a buck cruising the fields out here, and I mean that's random. I mean that can happen at any given time. Seeing a mature buck during the rut cruising this area, but they're really hitting it more because this really sets up for a great doe bedding area, especially being out here close to the ag fields. This is all going to be corn, or it is all corn now this year. You can see that the planter's been in here, but there's a little bit of a road here. Our strategy is, where my pickup is parked, is we're going to kill that grass off here, and in August we'll put a little bit of a strip of some beneficial feed so they can stage up here and stuff. Just give them a little bit of a green food source so that when the end of October, beginning November comes, there's a little bit of a green food source edge here where they come out this little travel corridor right down here in front of me. They can get a little drink of water here down at the water tank. I don't think you can quite see it on the camera there, but that's just fine. There is just a little tank right there off the field edge. It's been there for quite a while now, but the deer do hit it, and it self-fills pretty good. There's a little bit of a slope coming off the field edge here, so it catches some of that natural runoff into it, so we don't have to fill it that often. Being that it's a small tank, it's less than 20 gallons for sure. Anyway, self-fills pretty good, and but we're going to get to work here, and I'll show you what we're doing. So follow along, and hopefully you learn something off of this. So we're in here. We've created this overhead canopy. It's where two travel corridors come together. So now it's a visual break. And that's what you want. You want to break up the deer's vision, his line of sight, because you want him to maze and pocket through here. You want him to have to make decisions in which way he wants to go. You're wasting his time. That's the point that's the point of all of this. You want to waste as much time as you can when he's on the property. You want to waste his time, not your time. You're not wasting your time by doing any of this detail work that I'm out here doing, because these deer, there cannot be any dead ends. I know this looks low to you guys, but to a deer, this is security. We're going to flatten this spot out. We're going to get everything out of here that we possibly can. We're going to rake. We're going to shovel it. We're going to get all this debris out of here, right down to the bare dirt. We're going to make a level spot in here as much as we can. Down in here is where the bucks naturally want to be. It's where I watch them probably 90% of the time when I'm hunting in the stand back here. So we know that his security is back here. Does are up closer to the ag fields. Bucks are back in here. Now, deer will lay, a mature buck will lay where he has security. It's not always about depth of cover, layering the bucks back behind the does. It's where he feels the most secure. He's going to feel real secure in here. Again, we're going to go down in here, and we want to make sure that it's somewhat on a little bit of a slope so we don't hold water in here. There is a little bit of a low spot in here. We don't want to create a bed there because it could possibly hold water. He wants to be up high and dry. This is a perfect spot. But now he's got 3 different escape routes out of this bedding location. Very important. There cannot be any dead ends. He's got to be able to move to and fro in and out of this bedding location, this little bedding cave. Why do I build this overhead canopy? Yeah, I've seen other guys do it long before, but I've also observed deer, mature bucks in particular, in little overhead canopies like this. Are they relating to the overhead canopy, or are they relating to the side cover? In my theory, they're relating to the side cover more, and you've heard me say this before, but I feel too that in adverse weather conditions, a little bit of an overhead canopy, you'll find buck beds in there as well. Any type of deer bed, really, but the deer will relate to that overhead canopy in heavy snow, heavy rain, and whatnot, just to get out of the elements. All creatures want to get out of the elements. But anyway, this will even set up for summertime as well. It's not thick in here. Air can move through here easy. He's got complete, almost 360-degree viewing in here. He's laying in here on the right wind over his back. He can see down into the swamp below, but what he can't see, and what he will not hear because of our access and the way we have it set up, he can't see us getting into our stand 70 yards from here. So what I want to do is I want to get this all down to the dirt, get all the sticks out of here, level it up as best as I can. You know, I want to make this about 5 feet by about 3 feet, 6 feet long, 5 to 6 feet long, and about 3 feet in width. We've got our log in here for them to bed up against that side cover that they're looking for. They've got good back cover. And what we want to do is we want to position this deer. This deer is going to come in here, whether he comes in this way or he comes from that way behind the camera. He can lay down in here on a northwest wind, west wind. He can lay with his wind to the back. He can see everything. There's a big corridor back here to the east. He can watch all of that. He's got plenty of escape routes out of here. There's no dead ends in and out of here. So he's got plenty of escape should danger ever come in here. Whether it's us, if we're doing a small little deer drive in here, coyotes, wolves. We do have wolves here in this part of Wisconsin. unfortunately, bobcats, bear, whatever, but we're just getting this down to the ground. Now, a lot of people wonder why I go through the trouble of doing, excuse me, I'm dry airing, but excuse me, why I go through all this trouble. Small properties like this, it's very easy to do, but I want to make this as comfortable as I can for the deer. Yes, the deer already want to lay here. I understand that perfectly well, and why go through the effort and waste all this time? It's not a waste of time at all for me. I've already proven in a couple of my shorts that deer relate to this. They seek this out. I don't know as if they really seek it out, but they lay in it a lot better. Get all the sticks out of here so it's not poking out. I mean, deer are just like us, really, I think. You know, I see it with cattle. The better we can make a cow's bed, the better she's gonna do as far as digestion of what she's eating and stuff. You got to remember, any animal, they want to be as comfortable as they can. Why not do it for deer? Is it worth it for deer? I believe so. Now, this will fill back in with leaves, which is just fine here in the fall when all these leaves start to drop. But we got the sticks, we've got the roots out of here, anything that's going to poke these deer. I know some guys will go through the trouble and even bring in a bale of straw or whatnot and shake it up. I don't go through that trouble. I just let the leaves try to keep it as natural as I possibly can. But my goal is I want to keep the sticks and the roots at bay, get any rocks that might be in here out of here, make it as comfortable as I can for these deer. Now this deer, he has side cover, he has a little bit of overhead cover, especially in some diverse weather events or adverse weather events. They already want to be here. There's a couple white pine right here. There's a big white pine right here that they'll lay under. There's another one over here, but we come in here, we did some hinge cutting today, and we created a lot of separation. That was the biggest goal here. Now we're in here just doing a lot of the detail work, getting a lot of these twigs and stuff, but now we've got browse in here. Instantly, we have browse in here with our hinge cutting. Deer eat 5 times in a 24-hour period, and they're up on their feet, moving around. In the daylight, they're not on their beds the entire time, or not on their bellies the entire time. They're up moving around in their bedding areas, getting the browse. We have a stand location over here about 50 yards from where I'm at right here. They're never going to know that I'm in here as long as I hunt on the right wind, but the way we come in, our access is bulletproof coming across that swamp, and these deer will never know I'm in here because now it's a visual. We've created a visual break in here. We've silenced our entry. We have pallets that come across the swamp. We keep that trimmed down. We keep the weeds sprayed down. We keep the leaves blowed off. The sticks is the main one. Keeping the sticks so we don't break any sticks coming in, because we just want our access to be dynamite and bulletproof. So we're just making this better, paying attention to the details. To me, it's all worth it, and that's the bottom line. So when it comes to small properties, and what is a small property? To me, small property, 160 acres like we've got here on the family farm, this 40, so relatively we have 200 acres here. Anything, 200 acres and lower to me is a small farm. I know some guys would consider anything less than 1,000 acres to be relatively small. In some cases that's true, and it's probably true here as well. But we hunt this as a separate 40. We actually are only hunting less than 10 acres really when it comes to this part of the farm, and it's really important that we pay attention to the details, give deer everything they want as far as comfortable bedding, great food, great browse. Browse has been number one. Browse is always number one. Browse before food plots, always. Because browse is the number one thing when it comes to a deer's diet. Woody browse, that is. And you have to pay attention to that. If you don't have the woody browse, you're basically going to have that quote-unquote term nocturnal deer on your property. Not saying they can't bed up on your property, but I don't want those deer to be able to come into my property and see from one end to the other. I want to create that maze and pocket, which we've done here on this particular piece of property, and I've done for clients as well. If you've been following along for some time now, even just recently I put out a video of a little tour I did of it's actually my last video I did here, and just before this one, of a client property, a little tour that I gave of that one over in Buffalo County, Wisconsin. I'm here in Jackson County, Wisconsin. I'm just 2 counties to the east of Buffalo. And but paying attention to the details, to me, is worth it. These are, you know, like I said before in the video, might seem like a lot of time wasting to a lot of you, but it's not. And we're starting to prove it over and over again, that paying attention to the details, giving deer everything they want, from a comfortable bed, water, food, just everything, and not knowing that they're being hunted is going to lead to success. It's been successful as far as our doe harvests go. Those mature does, they're number one. You got to take care of the does first, and they cannot know that they're being hunted, because they're going to alert the mature bucks. They're going to put everybody on notice. And as long as we can keep the does at bay, keep them ignorant to our presence, we're going to have the mature bucks here. We do have the mature bucks here. We just got to pay attention more to our cameras and let the cameras do all the work and tell us when it's time to hunt. I do know for a fact that this particular property sets up better for later rut activity, and by that I mean not necessarily post-rut, but the tail end of the peak of the rut. So around that Veterans Day time period is probably the best time to be in this particular property. And during the phases of the rut, early season, it's okay. We're hunting the outer edges on east winds, and I think it's going to be great watching this. We're going to get a camera set up in here on one of these beds and see how the deer relate to it, and we'll bring you a further update after a bit here, after we get some intel in here. So I'm going to go grab a camera. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you learned a little bit and can apply some of these strategies and tactics to your property, and have fun doing it, guys. I really enjoy doing it, and to me it's worth every bit of time that I put into it, and I hope it is for you as well. That's the way I see it, and I hope you see it that way too. God bless you all. Stay safe and keep living the dream. Thank you.